Good afternoon to the audience of these live Q&As. Good afternoon or evening or noon to our directors we will be speaking to. You can watch this live stream either as a part of the webinar on Zoom. If you are with us on Zoom as attendees, you can also ask questions or say some remarks or comments that you have to these films we will discuss today. So if you want to participate, please use the function raise hand. I will see that you want to speak, and then I will give you the word. I will allow you to talk and unmute you, and you can say your question. The alternative way is that you write your question to the chat, and I will read it for you. We will speak with 4 directors today, directors whose films are part of the second program of the World Competition of Experimental Documentaries, Fascinations. We will speak with Japanese director Yoshiki Nishimura, who is now currently in Japan, so his time is around midnight. We will speak with the Japanese director Tetsuya Maruyama, who is Japanese but is currently in Brazil. So his time is around noon. And we will speak with Jacques Perconte from France. And hopefully we will also speak with Roger Horn from Spain. So 4 films that we will discuss, and we will discuss each film, one film at a time. And we will start with Yoshiki Nishimura and his beautiful film, Dear Daisy. Yoshiki, you used, it seemed to me that you used a similar technical procedure, how to create the images as in your previous films. But anyhow, although usually quite a big part of our audience are regular visitors of Ji.hlava Festival, and they already know your work and your creative method. Still, there are, of course, each year new and new viewers. So I would like to ask you, could you please describe for us the exact procedure, how you created images in your film?
Oh, okay. Okay. In my film, I bring reality into computer graphics space, and this time I use this one. It's a broken computer, and I use the photogrammetry technique. It's okay. I shoot. This one, it's a camera. Maybe I shoot hundreds of photographs from this object, and I turned into object, 3D object in computer graphics space. The technique is called a photogrammetry technique. Now it's so impressive. No, it's getting much better every year. So I use it. That's a technique. Oh,
and could you say what were the source images that you worked with, the images that you were then working with using the photogrammetry technique? So how did you acquire the original images? Were they photographies or continuous video? Did you shoot it? Did you find it somewhere? So what is the source of the images?
I can also use a continuous video images, but the photograph is much more accurate. So I use photographs, lots of photographs. For this one, I use maybe 200, 300 photographs, high resolutions, and the program turns those images to one computer graphics 3D object. That's a photogrammetry technique.
Mm-hmm. I see. And what you are holding in your hand is, in fact, the main character of your film. It's the broken. It's part of the broken computer. And as you wrote somewhere in the explication about the film, you had almost an emotional moment. When your computer broke, or when you broke the computer. So I'd like to ask you about the what do you think, how the relation between people and the machine has developed, and where we are now in nowadays. What is the relation between a person and his or hers very intelligent computer?
Well, actually, the relationship with advanced digital technology was not I wanted to show in this film. I wanted to show my emotion, my sensation when I experienced when I smashed the computer. So maybe I need to talk about how I happened to make this film, I think. Okay. So I started to make this film with a brief inspiration that was, it might be interesting to show the computer graphic images of this one. That's my starting point. And however, when smashing the computer like this, I struggled with my conscience, right? And just like, oh, I am like a psychopath. Yeah, really. And hopefully I'm not. And it must have been a very weird look. I was smashing the computer with a big hammer in the backyard of my house like this. And it's kind of weird, And the feeling, the sensation I experienced from my behavior for making a film was so unusual, so bizarre. I noticed when I smashing. So I think it led me to make this film. So, but showing just the violence is a bit too abstract. So I used the story. The story is about the relationship with digital technology. Just I used it, but what I wanted to show is the sensation I experienced from my behavior.
That's very very interesting, and it's really intriguing how you can use the purely digital procedures and techniques to capture some specific feeling or a sensation in certain moment. And but why did you have a particular reason why did you smash the computer? It's really a kind of a radical gesture.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you have a particular reason?
Oh, just I thought it might be interesting. So this one in computer graphics space, just as this is. That's my first starting point. Then, no, oh, it's not unusual. My behavior is very unusual. It's kind of mad. I noticed, so it's kind of strange. No, I didn't plan to make this film first, but in the process, no.
It's so yeah, it's so beautiful how you are self-reflecting and self-critical towards this performative act that really can be perceived from many perspectives, but you are really it's beautiful what is your position and how you reflect that.
And I don't know. Actually, I noticed the meaning of this film after I made the film. After I made the film, I noticed, oh, what I did. So that's
I
the
see.
truth.
I see. Yeah. So it's yeah. So it's really possible that even in your case, that you have quite a consistent method of how you work with the images and how you create your works. Still, the work can subsequently tell you something even maybe new about
Yeah, yeah,
yourself
yeah,
and about yeah.
exactly.
Mm,
The film, the work
yeah.
did tell me, oh, what's about me. So the work tell me about my
Yeah.
sensation. That's kind of no weird, interesting. Also, even to me, it's interesting.
Yes, that's a fantastic point concerning the authorship and the way how the author thinks and how he or she uses certain tools that even in repetitive using of certain tools, the work can surprise you back.
Yeah,
That's really fantastic. Okay, thank you very much,
yeah. Thank
Yoshiki
you.
Nishimura, director of the film Dear Daisy, that you can see in the second program of the broad competition of Fascinations programs. Thank you, Yoshiki.
Thank you.
Goodbye for now.
Good night.
And good night to you.
Good
Yes,
night.
exactly. Good night. And I will again repeat to our attendees and to our audience that if you have some questions or some remarks, you can participate in the discussions together with us. Either write your question to the chat and I will read it for you, or you can use the function raise hand. I will see it and I will allow you to talk. So now we will move to another film Before the Collapse of Mont Blanc by Jacques Perconte, who is here with us from Paris, France. So welcome, Jacques.
Hello.
And I'm really happy that that we again screened your film. We have screened many of your films in the past, and for me personally, it's quite amazing to observe your creative journey. So how you experiment with the ways how what are the like endless possibilities how you can disrupt the digital image and create a completely new uh, set of of visual attractions thanks to specific procedures that you developed for your works. But what I very much appreciated about this film was also its topic. So I will also ask you about the procedure, but first let's discuss the topic, because you are you are pointing the attention to the climate crisis and to the phenomenon of how the mountains are in a way becoming smaller, because part of the rocks are being eroded and they are falling down. So we really don't know if the peak of the Mont Blanc, which is one of the iconic images for our generations, if it will last. In fact, and this is, if I understand it well, this is something you wanted to capture in your film. Am I right? And what was your motivation? Why did this phenomenon so much intrigued you?
Oh, thank you for all your comments, Andrea. The thing, like all of my film, it starts with a shooting, and I'm shooting in the Alps, not especially the Mont Blanc, more in the south of the Alps, les écrins with La Meige, that is one of my favorite mountains in the Alps. And actually, when you film there, you just cannot ignore the falling of the cliffs. And every summer, there is a lot of cliffs that start to go off. And it's very impressive. And every time you try to search for information, you find some mountain guides who explain how the mountain is changing and with the climate change. And so I was very impressed by this thing, but factually, by the fact that it became very dangerous to go walking in certain part of the mountain. And in the summer, there is some tracks that are closed for the walkers because it's too much dangerous to go there. And so it's several kind of crossing of topics inside the film, because the Mont Blanc has become a touristic place, and it is iconic, but iconic as a touristic place because it's kind of the highest mountain in Central Europe, but also the people believe it's easy to go there. So it's like a lot of people go there to walk and to make image and to experience this very high altitude. But the fact is that there is also a double movement, that it's going higher and higher all the time, because there is still a strong pressure with the tectonic, and the plates are moving and the mountains are rising. So it's a double movement. The climate change make it fall, but also it's growing up at the same time. And so it's about the disappearing of the iconic image of the Mont Blanc. So this shape that we know, and that some people even wanted to register as a heritage for the humanity, like something you cannot touch. It might not stay there with this shape.
That's really this is a very nice point, because in fact, especially through the climate changes, we are touching and changing it very much. So
completely, yeah.
So we can wish that it can be part of the cultural heritage, but with our other actions that we do and influence the climate, we are in fact changing it. This is also it's also interesting, your film thematic wise, just because what you said, because I think that really many people are observing falling of the rocks, especially when they are hiking or they are going to the mountains. But I think it's not so well known that that one of the reasons is also the climate change, and so this is one of the consequences. So it's also, yeah, it's very good that we can also find out this through your film. So so let's now speak about how the film was made. I mean, I really I so much I so much enjoy watching the film that contains like the documentary images. Yeah, we see the mountain, we see the cliff, and then to emphasize this motif of falling apart, also the images start to fall apart like completely. And in the end, we have several sequences when the images are almost completely abstract. They are only made of these geometrical patterns that were derived from the original images. So you really embodied this motif of destruction into images as well. So could you please elaborate on how did you make the film, and what was your procedure also from the technical point of view, how you achieved these really beautiful images?
As I told you, the film was started in my mind with a shooting, and it was last year. I was shooting in the Alps, and I had this bit stupid idea to film the Mont Blanc from a plane. And and I found a plane, and they took me to 4,000 meters with my camera, but without oxygen, and with the winds of the Mont Blanc, and because the shape of the mountain is very shaky. So it was a bit crazy shooting. And when I seen my image, I was very surprised by what I filmed, actually, because I didn't know what was happening when I was in the plane. And I really liked it, and I wanted to build a film around it. And but I didn't want to touch this image, almost not to touch them, because it's like my main documentation, my experience of seeing the Mont Blanc from a special place. And that is difficult to reach. Even you can book a tour, a flying tour around the Mont Blanc. But then I wanted, and I think it's maybe the first time that I really wanted to build something around it with some image I didn't shoot. And so I started to look at all the films about mountains and about avalanche that I could find online. On television, everything. I really documented a lot of myself because I had, I think, kind of certain type of image I wanted to find. And so I collected them from a lot of different films to have this corpus of avalanche at the beginning of the film. And then I started to work them, and I refilmed them on screens. So all of the image, I filmed them with a camera from a computer screen to have a bit more something inside the image. And then after, for adding some details in the colors with the compression work, as I do normally. And then also I told myself that this film might be the moment where I can really use this funny tool that helps you to visualize the motion vectors in the video compression that you can find in a lot of tools like FFmpeg, for example, that is the main tool used for video compression. It's a way to visualize the infrastructure of the image, to understand how it works. And with this falling apart and these avalanches, I told myself that you will visualize more than the motion vectors, but the dynamic of the avalanche in the image itself. And so it was a double game to put a parallel between the collapsing of the subject and the collapsing of the image itself. And then I just kept this arrows. In fact, it's a very tiny arrows that are everywhere in the image, and they describe the tension and the movement inside the image itself. So I used it already once in Ettrick, my Scottish film, but no one seen it. It's like in the mills at one point, I just added this overlay, these arrows on the image in the mills, but it's quite discreet because it doesn't become the main subject as it became in this film, where you have like a very free sequence of the film that are dedicated to the infrastructure of the image.
Oh, that's very interesting, and you are right that in Ettrick, which is one of the films that we screened in the past, it was in Opus Bonus section, I think.
Yeah.
That I don't recall this kind of image there, so probably this procedure was really used in a very subtle way in that case.
Yeah. It's very discreet. It's in the mills, and you have the machines moving to wave the sockets, the socks, and then it's on overlay on the machine movement. But it's funny because I put that and no one mentioned it ever. And then so it's like, but it's quite a standard way to visualize the things. It's really not difficult to do. The question was how to use it and to find a way in one of my film a day where it's almost needed to use it.
Yes, but I think that it's completely all right, or it's fantastic to use the tools that are common to for work with images, but what we do, or what you do, is exploring the possibilities, how far it can go, what is the variability of the manipulations it is able to do to the original image. And also what I consider really key, a very, very important thing, is that you use these tools to, as you described it, to say the motive that you want to say in the content, to say it also in this form or in this technical procedure, so it really corresponds in the message. Yes, so that is really very important, I think, and it works really beautifully in this film. That it's also comprehensible for the viewer, and also the images are that it's really aesthetic pleasure to to watch the film.
I become red.
No, it's really great. So maybe I will again ask our attendees if maybe somebody wants to ask a question or say a remark, and I will check the chat. Okay, there are no questions, so I will ask you the last question. How did you think about the sound? Obviously, we also had to discuss the sound, because it's also important part of this whole experience with the film. So how did you think about it?
I think about I started to make the music again of my films. I used to do it in the past, and I started again last year, something like that. The 4 last film I made the music, and I feel like it's the energy I want to pulse into the image. So it's I was looking at the film and then closing at the film and just trying to put energy and to develop something. And then after I was putting the sound on the film and editing it.
So the procedure was that you had the concept for the images first, and you created
yeah,
the
I made
images
the
also
film
with this
silent.
reception.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you composed the music to accompany this.
Yeah, the film was silent. I also collected some sounds, and I had this recording of the cows that is at the beginning, the bells.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to have this also that when the avalanche arrived, that it's a silence. So I wanted to make a lot of jumps at the beginning, so you don't know where the film will go. And it's a lot of collapsing and rebuildings after each other, like the data that comes at the beginning with the title. It was a lot of ideas like that. But the music is really when I make the music, I have the film in my mind, it's the almost the same part of my head, but they are neighbors. So they see each other sometimes, but not too often. And so it's quite autonomous process. I have the memory of what I've seen, then I work on the music only for maybe a few days, and then I go back to the film.
Yeah, and I like that that the music was not like illustrative to the emotion what should be derived from the images, but the music was in certain parts completely autonomous. But we have this complex audiovisual experience watching the film.
Yeah. It's like to create a dispositive for the experience, not to illustrate the image, but to build a space for the viewer as the frame, the work around the image with the colors and the shape of the image is also part of the dispositive, like the music.
Thank you very much, Jacques.
Thank you.
Thank you for talking with us about your film Collapse, before the collapse of Mont Blanc.
Yeah.
So greetings to France. And now I would like to speak with Tetsuya Maruyama, the Japanese director who is now in Brazil. Hello, Tetsuya.
Hi, Andrea.
We will be discussing your film, and correct me if I will not pronounce it well. SHASHIN no Ma.
SHASHIN no Ma.
SHASHIN no Ma. SHASHIN no Ma. Thank you for correcting me. And I understood that for the concept of the film and for its content, the word Ma is the main point. It is the key to the film. So could you please explain to us what the word Ma means in Japanese?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for inviting me for the chatting. I'm very honored to participate. And so the word Ma in Japanese means a lot of things we use in everyday context, like even the conversation between people, between friends and family, because in the synopsis of the film, I wrote as if space, interval, and it can be used for music, can be used for architecture, but it's not really limited to physical space. For example, the time also, you can use Ma, and it's very used in everyday context in Japan. So, but it's also definition. I mean, the word that's not really transferable to other language. Yeah, translatable to the language, to other languages. So, and shashin means photograph in Japanese. So it literally means ma or photograph. And in this title, I wanted to explore ma between the photograph, because this comes from my interest in celluloid filmmaking, because this is made with a Super 8 film that my father used to film. And the celluloid film, you can see ma of each photograph. So, and I'm very interested in what appears in between photograms. So it's not, I mean, the film is not really about the image itself. To me, images can be any images, but I was more interested in what appears in between the images.
I see. I see. I see. It's very. I was like watching the film. I was really concentrated on the materiality of the film, and as I read in the synopsis before, I knew that. Okay, so what is being present, or what is being thematized here is space or interval, but it can be perceived in an abstract way. So what I was thinking about was especially kind of how can I like sink in to the material, to the grains of each image. But now what you are saying, it's a great perspective that what you also wanted to make present somehow is what is between the single frames that create the overall or continuing and moving image in result. I see. And so the original Super 8 material that you used, did you say that it was shot by your father? So they were like home movies made by your father, or did you shoot some of them? Did you shoot?
Yeah, it's actually a mix of different materials. So maybe a half of the material is shot by my father. So it's from 1980s. And he used to have a camera, Super 8 camera, which was very common in Japan or in the world during the 80s. I mean, now it's coming back as a kind of aesthetics. So my father used to shoot everyday scenes, family going to a picnic, or me riding a bicycle. So very subtle. Yeah, it's very common scenes. So it's a home movie.
Yeah.
And about 3 or 4 years ago, I went to visit my family in Japan, because now I live in Brazil. And I found this film, Super 8 films that my father used to shoot. And he gave me also a projector that he used to use. So this film was shot with the projector that he used to use also. So it's not digitalized in the professional scanning. It was capturing of the projection. So that's why you see kind of imperfect images in the film that appears like a texture of the images. And so the material is a mix. I mean, some part is filmed by my father, and some part I filmed when I went back to Japan, which was in black and white. And it was very interesting because the first time I used this film was in a festival in New York called Mono. There's a group called Mono no Aware, and they work with analog films. They were film doing workshop, community-based workshop, and I presented this film in original Super 8 format.
I see.
And and then the physical difference between two materials, because the one that was shot by my father was in single 8 format called single 8, which was produced only in Japan, and the other was in Super 8 regular Kodak film. So when you project it, you could see like the film was almost coming out from the projector.
I see. I see. And we also have a comment from one of our attendees. He or she is writing, nice. So there is also a time between the shootings, right? I mean, beyond the time between the frames, there is also a time between your images and the ones of your father.
Yeah, true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. There is also this invisible time or space-time between the period when your father shoot it and when you shoot it. Oh, very nice comment.
It's almost 35 years after.
35 years. Oh wow. Yeah, I see.
Now I'm 37. The film was almost like, I think during the film I had 2 years.
Some of the parts of the film were like distracted.
Like gets burned.
Yes. Exactly. It seemed like they were either burned or there was some kind of mold or some other influence of the time on the film material, some chemical or physical changes. Did you do this with the film material, or is it how you found the material that it was damaged in certain parts thanks to the time?
Actually, so as I said, I didn't scan professionally, I mean in the lab, so I filmed the projection, and with the projector my father gave me, so the film was actually burned in that frame, and
I see.
It's like a slow motion projection, and I could adjust the speed, and that's why I was playing with the speed of the projection, the speed of the frames.
And then in certain time you were too slow that the bulb just burned. Burned the image. I see. I can see now. Yeah. Sure. Nice. And what I wanted to ask is my last question. If there is no question from the audience, from attendees, or in the chat, let me check. No other questions. So I would like to ask you about you also said or wrote somewhere that what was important for you was also observing an intensification of certain senses while watching the film. And then when I was watching the film, I was also realizing how you are working with my audible attention, with what I hear with my ears, because in some parts the film is without it's silent, or there is only a very subtle sound, but then in some part, surprisingly, suddenly we hear something in a normal loudness, and in that part it's for me as a viewer, it's like I was really connected only to the images, and then I reconnected with my own ears, and I re-emphasized also the audio part of the film. Oh, yes, also audio. So how did you think about this? Was this your intention, or why the audio is only appearing in certain parts of the film?
Yeah, I think nowadays we are very, I don't know. I was watching some films the other day, and there was like Q&A or conversations also, and they were talking about how we are afraid of image without sound. Like even silent films, we are kind of afraid of encountering it, or watching, or experiencing.
We are not used to it anymore.
Yeah, I think we're not used to it anymore, and I personally started make film because of my interest in sound. Because this film, that the sound was recorded with cassette tapes. So yeah, compared to the other two directors that are present here, I'm very old, old school. I use only old school technique, Super 8 and cassette tapes. But I really like this physicality of the material. And so the sound I used was recorded by my interest in sound, like recording everyday sounds, and like me taking a bus, or someone cleaning the street. So it's kind of this subtle everyday activities that probably don't look important to some of people, but maybe that's one of my interests, to try to bring to, as you say, like it's the sensation of the audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. And yes, as you said, you use the traditional tools and a traditional medium, the physical film and magnetic tapes for the sound. And
you can see, in my back.
Yes. Yes, exactly. That's nice. And Jacques and Yoshiki are working with very current technologies, also hardware, but especially softwares. But still, what all three of you have in common, that you are still interested in exploring the media, including its materiality, although in the digital environment, the materiality, of course, is an ephemeral term. It is not the same as we can touch the film stock. So I would like to very much thank you, all of you. Thank you, Yoshiki Nishimura, Jacques Perconte, Tetsuya Maruyama. Thank you for being with us and discussing your marvelous films. And have a nice rest of the festival. And to our audience, thank you for your attention. And don't forget to watch also the other programs of Fascinations, and of course any other films. The films are being published every day at 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. So thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Andrea. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rana.